Listen to me very carefully because what I'm about to tell you is going to save every single entrepreneur watching this video from financial suicide. Whether you're sitting on a prototype for a new clothing line, whether you're about to wire 50Ks to a factory for the next big thing in electronics, or whether you've already spent 10K on samples for a home goods product you think will trend, this matters to you. I've been in business for 35 years. I built FUBU from sewing hats in my mom's house in Hollis, Queens, to a $6 billion global brand. I've sat on the Shark Tank panel for 16 seasons. I've heard over 10,000 pitches. And I'm telling you right now, launching a product in the wrong retail category in 2026 is like jumping into a pool with no water. It's not just painful, it's fatal. And before I show you the exact 3 categories that will bankrupt you and the 1 category that's making my students $2 a year right now, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash it, because if you're tired of being sold the dream while you're living the nightmare, you need to be in this community. We tell the truth here, no sugarcoating, no believe in yourself BS, just profit. Now let's get into it. I didn't have investors when I started FUBU. I didn't have a business degree. I didn't have credit. I had a sewing machine, a dream, and a lesson that cost me my house to learn. Launching in the wrong category will kill you faster than having no money at all. I've watched founders raise $2 million in venture funding and blow it on a Manhattan office and a brand identity package before they made their first sale. I've watched single moms max out credit cards on electronics inventory that became obsolete before it arrived. I've seen it all. And I'm telling you, the biggest threat to your business isn't competition. It's not the economy. It's not TikTok changing its algorithm. It's the category you think is hot that is actually a graveyard. Let me give you some numbers because numbers don't lie. The average small brand that launches in the wrong category loses $47,000 in the first year. $47,000. That's not a learning experience. That's a financial amputation. You know what that number was in 2010? $11,500. You know what it was in 2000? $4,200. Do you see the pattern? The cost of launching in a saturated, commoditized category has gone up 1,100%, while the success rate has dropped to 3%. 3%. That means 97% of you watching this will fail if you pick the wrong category. And the gurus selling you those categories, they're making money from your failure, not your success. But here's what makes this different from 2008. Back then, we had a credit crisis. People stopped buying because the banks froze. This time, the problem is manufactured saturation. The hot categories you're being sold, fast fashion, generic electronics, trendy home goods, are so flooded with Chinese manufacturers, aggregators, and copycat brands that you can't compete even if you have a better product. The whole system is designed to bring you in, take your money, and spit you out. Let me explain something to you about the power of broke, because this is the foundation of everything I built, but apparently nobody in the business coaching world wants to admit it. When I started FUBU, I couldn't afford to pick a category with heavy competition. I had to pick a category where my hustle could be my moat. I picked hip-hop apparel in 1992 when nobody was serving that market. I didn't have money. I had a category that was hungry, and I fed it. When you pick a saturated category, you need money to compete. When you're broke, you need a hungry category. That's not a disadvantage. That's your superpower. The moment you try to launch in a hot category with no money, you're bringing a knife to a drone fight. You lose. So now you've got millions of founders who are launching clothing lines because they saw a YouTube ad that said fashion is a $3 trillion market. They're launching phone accessories because some guru said everyone needs a phone case. They're launching home decor because Pinterest told them it's trending. And every single one of them is competing with 10,000 brands that have deeper pockets, better suppliers, and algorithms that can undercut them by 40% overnight. You're not launching a product. You're launching yourself into a war zone with no ammo. This is creating a generation of wantrepreneurs who are really just consumers of business services. People who would have been profitable hustlers 20 years ago are now trapped in a cycle of buying services, subscriptions, and systems that make them feel like they're in business while they hemorrhage cash. They buy a $997 course on scaling. They subscribe to a 47-month funnel builder. They hire a 200-hour brand strategist. They buy 10K in inventory because the MOQ was too good to pass up. And every single one of those dollars is a dollar that's not building equity. It's just making someone else rich. And let me tell you who's winning in this environment. It's not you. It's not the founder grinding at 2 a.m. It's the platforms, it's the manufacturers, it's the aggregators. I'm talking about Alibaba, who makes more money from small brands ordering MOQs they can't sell than they do from large retailers. I'm talking about Amazon, who will launch an Amazon Basics version of your product 90 days after you start trending. I'm talking about the aggregators who've raised $15 billion to buy up struggling brands for pennies on the dollar. They see you launching in these categories, and they're not going to stop you because your failure is their inventory. Your failure is their acquisition target. Here's what they're doing. These manufacturers, these platforms, these aggregators, they go into entrepreneur Facebook groups. They see you excited about your big idea, and they sell you the tools to fail. Need inventory? Our MOQ is only 1,000 units. Need reviews? Our review service is only $500. Need to scale? Our agency retainer is only $3,000 a month. They take your cash. They deliver the service. Your product sits in a warehouse. Your reviews get flagged. Your ads don't convert, and they move to the next founder. It's a treadmill of launch that never touches the real problem. You picked a category that's already dead. This is creating a launch death spiral. Brands that would have been success stories in a hungry category are now case studies in failure because they launched into a saturated one. Why? Because they didn't research, because they listened to gurus, because they followed the hot trend instead of the hungry market. They see their competitors making money, they think they can too. But they don't see the 97% who are losing money. They only see the 3% who are winning. And they don't realize those 3% have either $5 in funding or they launched 3 years ago when the category was still open. And let me tell you what this does to a founder's psychology. When you launch in a dead category, you don't blame the category. You blame yourself. You think, my product isn't good enough. My ads aren't creative enough. My branding isn't strong enough. So you spend more. You hire a better agency. You order more inventory. You go deeper into debt trying to fix a problem that's not fixable. You're not failing because you're bad at business. You're failing because you picked a fight you couldn't win. But nobody tells you that because they're all making money from your delusion. I look at founders today, people who message me their product ideas, and I see them doing everything right. They've got the samples, they've got the logo, they've got the Shopify store, they've got the ad campaign, and they're still going to fail because they're launching a clothing line in a market where Shein drops 2,000 new SKUs daily, cite Business of Apps. They're launching a phone case in a market where 40,000 other sellers are bidding on the same keywords. They're launching a trendy home decor item where Amazon Basics will undercut them by 50% within 90 days. They're not failing because they're lazy. They're failing because they picked a category that was already a graveyard. This is why I'm so fired up. This isn't just about picking the right category. This is about the war on small business. If we keep sending founders into saturated markets, we're going to have an entire generation that goes broke before they ever get a shot. They'll be trapped in inventory they can't sell, ads that don't convert, and a sense of failure that crushes their spirit. And when they quit, the aggregators will buy their customer list for pennies and make the money they couldn't. That's not capitalism. That's a rigged game. Now, let me tell you where this gets really ugly, because what I just described is bad enough. But there's another layer that most founders don't understand. And it's this layer that's going to determine whether you ever escape the category trap or become another victim. We need to talk about the 3 categories you must avoid in 2026. And I'm not talking about be careful. I'm talking about do not launch here. Do not launch a clothing line in 2026. I'm serious. Don't do it. The fast fashion market is projected to hit $180.6 billion in 2026, cite Research Nester. But that number is a lie that hides the truth. Yes, the market is growing, but it's growing because Shein and Temu are vacuuming up every dollar while small brands are being crushed. Shein adds 2,000 new SKUs every single day, cite Business of Apps. That's not a typo. 2,000 new products every single day. You think your unique design is going to stand out in that tsunami? You're delusional. The aggregators have bought up 70% of the bestseller badges on Amazon in clothing categories. That means when you launch, you're not competing with other small brands. You're competing with entities that have $500 in funding, own the algorithms, and can lose money on every unit just to starve you out. Your ad cost per click is $45. Your return rate is 35% because people order 3 sizes and keep 1. Your margin after ads, returns, and platform fees is 8%. You can't win. Even I wouldn't launch a clothing line right now without 10 millimeters in funding. And if I wouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it. The only exception, hyper niche technical apparel, fishing gear for left-handed anglers, yoga pants for pregnant powerlifters, compression socks for diabetic long-haul truckers. That's it. The broader fashion market is closed. It's done. It's a graveyard with 10,000 fresh bodies added daily. Category number 2, generic electronics and phone accessories. Do not launch a phone case. Do not launch a charging cable. Do not launch a Bluetooth speaker. Do not launch any electronic gadget that you think is cool. This category is death. The Chinese manufacturers have warehouses in the US now. They can ship to your customer in 2 days from LA. They're selling on Amazon for 40% below your cost. Amazon Basics will launch a competitor 90 days after you start trending. The FCC will fine you $15,000 for non-compliance on a technicality you didn't know existed. Patent trolls will sue you the moment you hit 100K in sales. Your certification costs alone are $15K. Your warranty returns alone will eat your margin. I had a student launch a smart water bottle. $80K in inventory, $25K in certification. 1 month later, a Chinese seller had the exact same bottle for $12. My student was selling for $49. He sold 200 units before the reviews tanked because customers found the $12 version. He lost $60K. Don't be him. The only exception, electronics that solve a hyper-specific B2B problem, industrial sensors, medical devices, military-grade equipment. That's it. Consumer electronics is closed. It's a casino where the house always wins and the house is named Temu. Category number 3, trendy home goods and aesthetic decor. Do not launch a minimalist vase. Do not launch a modern lamp. Do not launch a boho throw pillow. Do not launch any home decor that you saw on Pinterest and thought, I could make that. The home goods category is a slaughterhouse. Wayfair has 20 million SKUs. 20 million. Amazon Basics has taken over every basic item from candles to curtains. The Chinese direct-to-consumer brands ship from U.S. warehouses and undercut you by 60%. Your shipping costs alone will kill you. A $30 lamp costs $18 to ship. The return rate is 42% because people order 3 colors and keep 1. Your margin after shipping, returns, and the 6% platform fee is 15% if you're lucky. You can't win. The market trends for 2026 are already showing saturation. The modern equestrian trend? Oversaturated. Color drenching? Already done by every major brand. Curved furniture? 43% of designers are already doing it. Site Homes and Gardens. Leopard print? It's everywhere. You're not ahead of the trend. You're late to a party that's already over. The only exception? Functional problem solvers. A pet feeder that solves separation anxiety, a shelf that fits in weird apartment corners, a shower curtain that doesn't mold. That's it. The aesthetic decor market is closed. It's a graveyard of beautiful products that nobody buys because nobody needs them. Now, let me tell you what to do instead, because I'm not here to just tell you what to avoid. I'm here to show you where the money is. I'm going to give you one category that is making my students $200 a year right now. One category that is hungry, one category where you can still win without $1 million. The only category you should launch in, problem solver, micro products. This is the category that's printing money in 2026. I'm talking about products that solve one hyper-specific problem for one hyper-specific person. Not a $50 product, a $12, $25 product, not a brand, a solution. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine launched a 19 dog paw cleaner cup for people who live in apartments and have to walk their dogs in the city. That's it. One problem, one solution, no brand story, no mission. He made 1.8 meters in sales last year. Why? Because nobody was serving that person. The big brands were making $40 dog spas. He made a $19 cup that works. He spent $0 on branding. He spent $500 on TikTok ads. He spent $0 on an office. He spent $0 on inventory. He pre-sold 5,000 units before he ordered. That's the power of broke. That's the hungry category. The product was a simple silicone cup with bristles. He sourced it for $3. He sold it for $19. His ad cost per acquisition was $4. His margin was $12. His return rate was 3%. Why? Because it solved a problem. People don't return solutions. They return trends. They return aesthetics. They return nice to haves. They keep must haves. And in 2026, the only thing people will pay for is must haves. Here's the formula. Find a problem that you have. Find 100 people who have that same problem. Pre-sell them the solution. Use that money to make the product. Use TikTok organic to find the other 10,000 people who have that problem. Don't build a brand. Don't build a story. Don't build an office. Don't build a team. Don't build anything until you've sold something. I know some people are going to say, Daymond, you're telling me to be a copycat. No, I'm telling you to be a problem solver. The biggest brands in the world, Apple, Nike, Amazon, started by solving one problem. Apple solved the problem of complicated computers. Nike solved the problem of running shoes that fell apart. Amazon solved the problem of not being able to buy books online. They didn't start with a brand. They started with a problem. The brand came later. The brand came from the solution. Here's the bottom line. We are at a crossroads. We can continue down this path where founders launch into dead categories, waste $47K on branding, go broke and quit, or we can make a hard choice. We can stop launching in saturated markets. We can stop spending money on things that don't sell. We can stop building brands before we build products. We can solve problems. We can stay lean. We can stay hungry. But it requires you to reject the guru advice. It requires you to think like a cockroach, small, fast, unkillable. It requires you to embrace the power of broke. Now, let me tell you what you need to do. And I'm talking to you, the person watching this right now who's sketching a logo for your clothing line. Stop. First, throw away the logo sketch. You don't need it. Second, write down 10 problems you have in your daily life. Pick the one that annoys you most. Third, find 100 people who have that same problem. Use Reddit. Use Facebook groups. Use TikTok comments. Fourth, pre-sell them the solution. Use a simple Shopify page. No brand, just the product. Fifth, use that money to make the product. Sixth, deliver it. That's it. That's the business. Seventh, and this is critical, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell because in my next video, I'm showing you the exact script I used to pre-sell 5,000 units of a product I hadn't made yet. The real one. The one that's made me millions by staying broke. I'm not naive. I know this sounds simple. That's because it is. The clothing line is complex. The electronics gadget is complex. The home decor brand is complex. And complex loses. Simple wins. Problem solvers win. Speed wins. Hustle wins. Broke wins. If you're ready to stop being a consumer of business services and start being a real entrepreneur, then let's go. Smash that subscribe button, join this community, and let's build businesses that solve problems and print money.